So many traders caught this on the in-house fund. This and EuroCAD, we've had a lot of success recently. That next wave is coming. So what I thought I would do, I will cover this trade. Also, I'm about to jump on a call with someone who's just acquired 2.1 million in funding. Story is incredible. They don't even trade the way that we trade. There are some actual overlaps in the strategy, but he's a Rewired member. We're going to be covering his story, how he's gone from where he was, because he recently scaled up to 800k. Now he's taken 800k to 2.1 million in funding. You're going to learn what his mindset's like, what he prioritizes, his routine, all transferable, valuable things that can help you out. But what I thought I'd do is I'll quickly cover this before we do a bit of a deep dive, slightly different episode. So you see this trade here on Pound Aussie. This was like a textbook one for us. So if I go to the hourly, actually we'll start with the daily. Make sure, and I'll give you a really quick exercise, make sure that your trades are higher time frame based the majority of the time. So it's very difficult to go wrong when you've got the higher time frame within your favor. And then when you've got a daily bias or a weekly bias and you're playing a range, for example, when the lower time frames shapes up, you're highly likely going to increase your strike rate versus like a counter trend move. Now that might be stating the obvious, yet in the moment you're so zoomed in, you're getting sucked in, you keep making your mistakes. So if we go over to, let's say this, like Pound Aussie, Euro Aussie was quite similar to this. See this daily profile, rejection at the high, tweezer tops, like real simple candle shape formation, but playing that range. Were we surprised of this bearish run? Absolutely not. So taking lower time frame trades within this range, nice and simple. Now this one here on the 1 hour time frame, it sticks out because it's so easy to miss. Like you've got your volume here, you've got the high that makes it there, you've then got your gap. Look at your gap right here. This doesn't even get to this, even better, right? We scoop back up, everything in between. People start selling here, they take 2 losses. It finally gets to the key value area, which we would wait for, be patient with, boom, then we're in the trade. Now this went on for a little bit longer. Some people would have just set this as a simple 6-1, some people would have set it at 90% at 5.3, and some people would have just managed the trade and trailed their stop, so probably like 8 to 9%, roughly there or thereabouts. So it was a beautiful position. And it just highlights the same thing. I can see where people go wrong. Because if I go to the 15-minute time frame, I'll tell you where people lose. In here. So imagine this is your key value area. This is where you really want to be trading from. This is the bigger players, the banks. That's the main part. Do you understand how to dissect this leg? If you do, you have an advantage over most traders. If you don't, if you think that is just price tapping a level, you're so lost. You couldn't be further away from the truth. There's so much going on here with the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. There's early selling, there's traps and gaps either side. Like you need to understand how to dissect this to really gain that statistical edge. But yet imagine, because even if you sold early, let's hypothetically you sold early, and I think this is one of the biggest psychological issues, and I'm going to talk to the gentleman in a second about this, is what is the biggest thing psychologically people struggle with? It's not losses. People take losses. So let's say you sold here, you took the last year at -1, and then there is a re-entry here. The re-entry is not the issue, it's the loss beforehand. So what do people struggle the most with? It's how they feel taking the second trade as a re-entry after a loss. Like, think about it for yourself and be honest. If you take a -1 and then let's say 2 hours later, the trade setup shapes up, do you slightly hesitate, or do you feel like, I'm not really sure if I want to take a -2? It feels different to the first trade, yet they shouldn't be connected, yet you feel like that they are. So how do you overcome that? Well, again, that's a deeper psychological part, but yet when you overcome that, you will become profitable. That is the catalyst. Like if you was to go back, and this is the homework that I wanted to give you, think about losses that you've taken, and I'm assuming here that you actually journal. Like half the battle is you journaling. So let's say you journal. You need to go back through your trades and go, when you've taken losses, were there re-entries? How many of them did you miss? How many of them did you catch? And if you're unprofitable, I almost know for a guarantee you've missed loads of them. And then you have to ask yourself, why did you miss them? Was it out of time zone? Probably not. It might have been a couple of hours difference. So you missed it due to what? Motion. That's what we're diving into. Let's do it. You're just shy of 7 figures, which will be a huge milestone for you. You've really implemented Peak Performance Trader, all of the modules. Like you've really gone in, and you can see when you get that concentrated shift of just focus, incredible things can happen for you. So congratulations on that.
I really appreciate you guys. You guys are the best community in this space. So I will continue to preach that, and I will continue to let everybody know that this is the place to be.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
So first, I went from 50K to 300K, then lost it all. And then I went back from a 50K account to 800K. And while I was at 800K, I was a bit euphoric. I went through the emotions of, okay, I've scaled up to a new milestone in such a short period of time. Kept reiterating that to myself every day so I can believe that this wasn't luck. This was part of the process. Time was just a lagging indicator. So then I ended up scaling to 2.1 million in funded capital, which is crazy and beyond me at this point. But, I was once there as well, where I was at a break-even stage, not making any money for months and feeling like I was hitting a brick wall. But this process of seeing the old you versus the new you,
Mm.
it's really seeing how the scale has been going up.
So let me clear something up before I jump on this call with Elijah. Trading psychology, it's not what you think it is. So if you're wondering and sitting there, why are all these funded traders going for rewired? What's the difference? Why is it the books are not doing that for me? You've got generalized knowledge that is still valuable, it's over here in the books, and you have specialized knowledge. And what rewired is, it's a specific formula. It helps you understand exactly why you are the way that you are. Imagine for the very first time, you finally become the person that knows exactly why you do what you do. You could look at yourself and go, wow, this is why I have all these habits. This is why I am me. And now you can decide, do you know what? I don't quite like that about myself. I don't think all these habits, these traits, these beliefs, the way I respond to stress, I don't think that's going to help me in life. I don't think that's going to help me make money, especially not in trading. And then you get a formula that rewires all of the good things and leaves out the bad. How much would that be worth to you to figure that out? So the reason why these traders are trading multiple millions is because they learn why they are the way they are, then they unwired it, and then they rewired the things that are actually going to make them profitable. Elijah is cut from a different cloth, completely different mentality. His humility, his ability to learn, he was at 50K, then he got to 300K, then he lost it, then he built it back up to 800, and now he's trading over 2.1 million. Not by accident, not by chance, is because he has gone through this formula with a fine-tooth comb. He is a living, breathing, walking, talking version of someone who is fully rewired. I'm not surprised he's trading multiple millions. Elijah, how's it going?
How you doing, Mark? How you doing?
Yeah, very well. Good to see you again.
Yes, sir. It's very good to be back.
Awesome. Thank you for jumping on again. It's been such a short period of time, and it feels like it was just yesterday we was catching up.
Right? Honestly, I felt like we'd be back here sooner rather than later.
Love that. That's the confidence I like to hear. So talk to me. How have you been since? What's new? Anything outside of trading been going on? How's life been?
Life's been good. I've been able to navigate through some things that I've been dealing with as far as, credit card debt and also trying to figure out how I would allocate my trading profits
Mm.
to better put myself in a better situation. So that's really what I've been focused on throughout this journey. I've just been finding ways to try to optimize my routine because that's been the biggest factor throughout this kind of couple of month time period that I was trying to scale up. I saw myself declining on my routine. So I really needed to put more focus on developing a more robust plan that I can follow.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, when you put that post in Rewired, that was brilliant. Very, very inspiring. So talk us through it. You went from how much to how much to how much?
So first, I went from 50K to 300K, then lost it all. And then I went back from a 50K account to 800K. And while I was at 800K, I was a bit euphoric. I went through the emotions of, okay, I've scaled up to a new milestone in such a short period of time. I saw myself getting to a point where not having imposter syndrome, but thinking, is this run luck? Is this one luck again? So I had to ground myself and really see the bigger picture. Okay, you know what? I've been following my processes and I've been so focused on, being patient, taking high quality setups, following my plan. So I kept reiterating that to myself every day so I can believe that this wasn't luck. This was part of the process. Time was just a lagging indicator. So then I ended up scaling to 2.1 million in funded capital, which is crazy and beyond me at this point. But I always knew I'd get to a point where I would be managing seven figures in funded capital because of the processes and the person that I've been affirming myself to be. So it's really taken a toll on me mentally as far as trading the assessments, just because of the way I was approaching it. So the way I was approaching it was copy trading. So the way they do it is you can copy trade accounts, like multiple accounts at a time.
Yeah, yeah,
And the thing I saw with it was, as well as you can make profits, like a substantial amount of profits, you can also lose a substantial amount of profits so easily. So I see that the risk of ruin to that is much greater than the profits that you can make, because on X or Twitter, a lot of people show you the nitty and gritty on how much you can essentially make. But I see so many people flaunting so much profits, so that kind of induced me to really copy trade all my accounts at one point. So that was really getting me to a point where I was kind of on edge when I would see myself get in a drawdown period, because I'm seeing all my capital being drawdown. So now it's making me act more emotionally.
and how did you overcome that? What are the main things that you focused on to, well, firstly, congratulations, you're seven-figure trading now. That's no small achievement. And from being so close as well. Do you know what I noticed, Elijah, is people that get to say something like, say, 600, 700, 800, it's within reaching distance now. So it could be so easy for you to what you mentioned, which is imposter syndrome, and think, is this fluke? Is this luck? And that poisonous little seed could then cause you to create bad behavior, do something you shouldn't, over risk when you don't even realize that you're doing it. The contract size, you didn't really check it that much, or you hold a trade, whatever it is, it's like a variable that you wouldn't have usually considered just happens. You're like, oh, hey, I'll never do that. And it's like, the I never do that seems to happen when you mess up everything all at once, doesn't it? So for you to go from
Yes.
that to stick to the processes, being aware of your emotions and get to 2.1, that's a huge achievement.
Yeah, thank you. It took a lot of work, honestly. A lot of people in my community, they ask me, what was my processes like, and how did I get to this point? And it's really the same thing I've been reiterating from the beginning, honestly. It's just doubling down on the processes and finding out what my weaknesses were.
Mm.
There was a time period when I was trying to scale up from 800 to 2.1. I saw a lot of my strengths not really declining, but they were becoming average. And like for risk management for one point. So me being induced to trade all that capital at once was lowering my risk management substantially, because now I'm risking more than I usually risk per trade, and my emotions are now involved in my trading because I had an error thought of, okay, I see a lot of people copy trading and they're substantially changing their life off of one or two couple of trades because they have all these accounts being copied at once. So they're making 25 grand in one trade off of low size. So imagine what I can do with my capital, like I can quit my job, like I can do so many things. This is creating the other bad habits that are going to come, thinking of outcome based desires. So it was really getting to me to the point where I see myself trying to compare myself to a lot of people on Twitter because they were making profits daily, daily. And I was like, yo, what am I doing wrong? Like I'm at a point where even me, I'm at a point where I know this is not the most substantial way to go about it, or the it's not the route that I want to take, because what I'm looking for is longevity. So I got induced by the short-term gains and what it could do for me. So I had to step outside myself and really look at my performance. So what it took was for a weekly SR for me to do. It was a real deep reflection. And I looked back at what was helping me succeed. So I seen that, okay, me focusing on my processes is what got me here in the first place. So me looking at other people's success, that's only hindering me and pushing me back a couple of steps. Now I'm not really getting FOMO, but I'm getting a little bit more emotional when I miss trades. I'm getting more emotional when I'm in trades because I'm in drawdown. I'm taking a little bit more high risk positions. These things started to creep back in. So I kind of gave myself a little bit more strict rules to follow already on top of my trading plan as far as management. Okay, I can only take 2 trades per day, and I'm not going to copy all my accounts at once because the risk of ruin is so great. I don't want to put myself in a position to where I ever lose my capital again. So it was a tough process because it was building the muscle of delayed gratification again because of seeing the quick gains that I was seeing. It was just so enticing that it will literally make you change how you approach your process because of the desired outcome.
Bro, you just need to log out of X.
Literally, that's what I did. Literally, that's what I did. So after that weekly SR, I was like, you know what? I have to log out. It's the best thing that I can do for myself because I never really seen success in comparing myself and other people's. I never seen like, oh, he made, 20K. You know what? I can do that.
Yeah.
That always induced
I don't
bad
get
habits
that.
for me.
I don't get that impression from you either. I get the impression that like you perform the best when you're just locked in and you're not distracted by most people do, but I sense it even more with yourself that you really have to be dialed in because
Yes,
one has strengths and weaknesses, right? What we talk about in Rewired, like naturally people are better at other things. Like some people don't get distracted easily. I do. So
me too.
if I know I get distracted easily, I have to go out of my way to go, well, let's not work against myself by putting myself in a situation where I could get really distracted, and then it's on me. It's almost like a hidden self-sabotage.
Yes, and it's so subtle too, because you think it's something that you're doing that's productive, but inherently it's not. So also, I was talking to one of my accountability partners about this because this is also something that's really been helping me. Because I used to be somebody that kind of sweeps a little bit of things under the rug. Like, maybe I not follow my plan today. Okay, I'll put it in my habit tracker, but I won't really say anything.
Mhm.
So the fact that I have an accountability partner, hey, we talk every day. I tell him, hey man, I kind of messed up today. You know, I didn't follow my plan throughout the session. I was trading very good until I missed this position. So then, my emotions got in the way, and then, I broke plan. So he really helped me be a little bit more introspective as far as keeping me accountable because I would tell him at the beginning of the week, hey, do not let me break these rules. I'm going to tell you this, this, and that. And if I tell you that I want to trade after my session, which is AM session for futures, do not let me trade PM session, even if I see something, whatever the case may be. So he's really been a key factor in helping me keep myself accountable too. And also just the fact of not wanting to let myself and him down as far as, hey, I don't want to keep showing up and telling you, hey, I'm breaking my plan, I'm breaking my plan. Like he also is a little bit introspective as well to where he can be like, what is the root cause of this,
Yeah.
like what is this stemming from? So we also do a lot of self-awareness and reflection on a daily basis, and I feel like that's really been helping me really improve in the moment as well because I've been so focused on developing my awareness in the moment and getting into the state of flow on demand. That's really been my biggest focus throughout this 2-month time period. and really skyrocketed my performance over, I would say time is catching up to the fact that I've been putting the right things in place. That's what I would say.
Yes. And it seems like to me that you've been affirming a strong self-image of yourself. Like,
Yes.
even again, it's all like when you said about the root, it reminded me of that. You said, right, not wanting to let that person down. Well, that's a self-image. It's like you imagine yourself as someone who doesn't let people down. And then
Yes.
you adhere to that behavior for long enough until you couldn't even imagine yourself not following through with something. So the chances of you then going, "Oh, I'm going to trade PM session," is like no why to do that. It would almost be weird for you to do that because your self-image of who you are, like the standard of what you've set, is so strong. It's almost difficult to sabotage. That's the part that I see. So when I go through, of course, we have of so many varieties of different traders in Rewired now, which is awesome. I love it. It's so interesting to see how many different styles, but yet it's the common thing. It's all emotion. All emotion is
Yes.
all emotion is stopping them getting to the next level because we had a few individuals, right, that were on the side of, look, I don't think mindset's a thing, as in not mindset's a thing. Like these people read books and stuff, but they don't believe that having control over your emotions is any correlation towards being profitable. So then we had a bit of a back and forth, and I said, like, hey, when you miss a trade, do you feel anything? It's like, yeah. So emotions are there. And we know emotions are present. So what about when you take a loss and there's a re-entry? Does it feel harder to take the re-entry after the first loss? Absolutely. So you already know emotion is there. You know emotions are there when you lose. You know emotions there when you miss a trade. You know emotions there when you make a slight error, where you enter a bit too early or a slight bit too late, whatever it is. If you deviate by any degree, emotions are present. So,
Yes.
so surely, if someone made a trader in the image of this is the best trader we could possibly find, what would they have? Would you just put, I'm just going to make this gentleman the most technically proficient trader in the world, and I'm going to leave anxiety up to chance? It's like he could have anxiety, he could be impulsive, he could be disorganized, he could be erratic. We're just going to leave that. He could struggle with greed. We're just don't worry. We're just going to give him the technical skills. We're going to make him so good, but we're going to leave all of those other factors up to chance.
That
That's
person is
the,
gonna go through such a boom and bust cycle over and over again.
so our instincts already tell us like until you got this under control, it doesn't matter what strategy you have. Like you could have the most basic. I've met people, Elijah, over the years that I would say it's not. I'm not really a favor of the style itself, but all styles work. Just simple S&R like support and resistance, like the most basic you could think of. Maybe chuck in an EMA there as well. They're profitable. If you speak to them, you'd be like, this guy's got his mind in check. Like he's not worried about X. He's logging out of that. He's not worried about what anyone else is doing. He doesn't care about this prop firm traders on the leaderboard. Like it doesn't bother him. It's just like I trade this. It's at the level, buy, sell. Doesn't care. And
Yes.
it's almost in the unknown of like not knowing what's going on around you. Just makes you just stick to your plan. You just crack on with it, and then you end up making money. Like, oh, there's a whole bunch of noise going on out here, but that doesn't affect me.
That's why focus is really one of the most important things that we need to crack down on. Because what we focus on, then it creates our reality essentially. Like recently I've been focusing on just following my plan, following my rules, and not letting the outside noise dictate whatever I decide to do. Like even in the community that I'm in, I may have a different bias than somebody else, but I won't let what they see or what they analyze dictate how I, essentially execute. Because at the end of the day, it's my money that I'm executing. I mean, it's my money that I'm risking at one point, and also I'm trying to build the muscle of being able to weather the storm of, okay, I may see emotions come in because he has a different bias and he may be right, or I may be right, or he may be wrong. But I need to be able to, no matter what, stick to my bias and what I see through the market. So being able to block out the outside noise has also helped me inherently not look at social media and compare myself either, because I've got to this point by trusting in myself and having conviction in my analysis.
Absolutely. And that cannot start without conviction in oneself. Like
Yes.
if you have no trust with yourself, then you're not going to trust your analysis. You know, you see people. Have you ever met someone who just can't make a decision? And then even when they do try and make a decision, it could be something simple of like, hey, thinking about changing that job. And then you speak to them, you're like, okay, fair enough. Are you going to do it? They're like, not too sure. And then you see them 6 months later, they still don't know that I'm thinking about starting this, that they can't trust themselves to just do anything. And,
Yeah.
and to think, imagine giving that person the strategy, say, hey, I'm going to teach you how to trade. They're like, yeah, cool. Here's all the material. Here's the videos. Here's the education. This is how you do it. I still can't execute. Then meet them again and say, like, right, let's go out. Like, he's like, I want to trust you to organize it. Don't know. Could be go here, could go there. Like, there's no conviction in anything. Like, they can't trust themselves to like order off the menu that they might get it wrong. And like that trait of not being clear in just, you're not always going to get your decisions right, but the decisive, the people that are strong in their convictions, that have, I mean, thinking it through. I'm not saying be reckless, but like when you make a decision, you trust it, you trust yourself. You're like, this is based off of something, and nothing outside is going to interfere with this belief because it's tried and tested. That's why I'm so passionate about it, and I love it, and I see that in you so much. Even just from the 800k to like 2.1, there is another level of confidence, like an aura, I would say.
Oh, for sure. I feel like the same way too. Just because of, like Abdu said to me one point, he said, if you did it once, you can do it again. So that, even so, something so subtle as that comment, I literally reaffirm to myself on a daily basis. No matter what adversity I'm going through, I learned that I can withstand no matter what I go through, just off of feeling that, hey, man, as long as I keep my head up, I stay confident no matter what. Because I feel like our confidence oscillates also. But if I can just keep myself at an optimal level and I'm reaffirming to myself the best possible outcome of the long-term person that I want to be, I can achieve anything. I've seen if one man can do it, I can do it too. That's how
Absolutely.
I see it.
We've seen it before with the 4 minute miles. Isn't it so interesting when someone does one thing, it's just suddenly everyone now believes. It's like, why couldn't they do it
Yes.
before? But to yourself, more importantly, even more powerful when you've done it once.
Yes. Yes. It's like the success momentum cycle.
Yes, absolutely. And on that point, is there like a module now that sticks out to you more similar? Is there anything you've been resonating with recently? I mean, you went into a deep dive into your post, but for someone else out there, regardless of how they trade, going through Rewired right now, what sticks out to you? Because it's different for everyone.
It is different. So I can name a couple modules because I go through a couple of them depending on the situation I'm in or circumstance. So I was texting one of the guys, he asked me this question too. So there's a lot of times where, I'm in my head, I have these error thoughts. So then I'll go over the conscious trader and really take a deep dive in and see, how I can easily combat these and reshift my mind. So also another one is The Eternal Apprentice, where I go over millions of times just because I'm a person, whenever I'm on a winning streak or you see like I hit an achievement like this,
Mm.
I get a little bit euphoric. So I need to ground myself and keep myself teachable to the point where, you know, I knew this one was going to happen essentially, but here's the next goal, here's the next thing. I'm going to celebrate, but I'm also going to keep in mind that, you know, just as you can win it all, you can also lose it all. I've been there before, so I want to keep myself as humble as possible. Even if I make $1 million today, I want to be somebody, that like yourself, like how you said, you don't want to let money change you. That's what I aspire to do essentially. I don't want to let, a couple 100,000 a day, change how I treat people, change how I, view life. I just want to live a simple life, financially free, essentially, and take care of my family. That's what I see.
And all it's doing is amplifying who you already are. You know why I asked you that question? Because in my head, as you said it, I thought Elijah's going to talk about teachability. I knew it because you like the self-awareness that you're doing, you're recognizing the catalysts of self-awareness. Because listen, we can have self-awareness and realize, oh, hey, I'm like this and I'm like that, but not all of these things are destructive. Like you just might be a certain way, but that's not necessarily detrimental to you being profitable or losing your accounts or doing something silly. But not only have you become self-aware to realize the key things, you've been able to pinpoint it down to the thing that will be destructive if you don't, which is that.
Yes.
That's the key gem there and then, and that's where people go wrong, where you've gone down the right path, which is I love the mindset of not treating people differently as you become more and more successful. It's like we need more of those individuals in the world. Otherwise, like,
Yes.
who are we really? If our confidence is attached to money, like I'm the wealthiest I've ever been. I'm not going to use that as now arrogance to then treat people differently. Like I know my roots, I come from nothing. So I'm going to give people the same level of respect. And I love someone who takes action, who wants to try, who wants to better their life. Like I want to pour a lot of energy into that person because I was once there. I know what that feels like. And the teachability part is so key because you've been able to determine it to, well, if I know I inherently get euphoric, I'm not necessarily going to be able to change all of that about myself, but I can at least have the awareness to go, right, as soon as I start making money, let's go back to being teachable. It's like it's an insurance against yourself. And we all have something that could deceive us or take us back. So I'm so pleased for you that you know that.
Yes, thank you. I feel like it's different for everybody as well. Like we say, if you're impulsive or if you're hesitant, there's certain things that might resonate with you more than it would somebody else. So, another module that I can relate back to as well is burnout prevention. Just comparing myself from the old me to now,
Hmm.
you know, I I try to extrapolate that into everything I do as far as trading. Like, okay, I would have tilted back then, but now I don't essentially. One second, I need to close this position.
What are you in at the minute?
Yeah. I was in Euro, not Euro, but US 30 short, but I took in a break even, so I'm just closing the position out.
Nice.
Today was really a slow day just because of pre-CPI, so not
It's
really much
the
to
same for
see.
me. I had a live session this morning with the guys. We went over the markets and we went over quite a few instruments, and it was pretty flat. Like it's just one of those days. And it reminded me of like we were kind of sitting there just chilling, just going back and forth, talking about different stuff with trading. I was like, do you see where people go wrong? It's like right now there are a whole bunch of people out there trading in the London session, trying to force things, and have not developed that killer instinct to go, I'm just going to sit back for today and
Yes.
fingers on the trigger. They can't wait to take as many trades as possible. So yes, just it's so interesting. But yeah, no, carry on to what you were saying. It's different for everybody in the burnout prevention.
Yes. It's it's a thing of a lot of people try to measure their success on the present moment and they don't really take a step back and see how far they've come. Like my accountability partner, for instance, I try to keep him grounded and let him know, like, hey man, you've been growing so much. You might not see the results as far as, profits coming in, but look at how self-aware you've become in the past couple of months. Before you would have FOMOed into this position, before you would have tilted,
Mm,
before, you would have been down on yourself. But talking to me, you've been more confident in yourself. You've been able to see yourself as the person that would be profitable. So I keep drilling these things into him and letting him know, like, hey, you're on the right path. I was once there as well, where I was at a break-even stage, not making any money for months and feeling like I was hitting a brick wall. But this process of seeing the old you versus the new you,
mm.
it's really seeing how the scale has been going up. So I feel like a lot of traders need to measure themselves on what they used to do compared to now. It's a real helpful tool to do.
Absolutely, because there's nothing in between, is it? There's like you're either not making money and you're not making money for a long time, and then suddenly you're making a lot of money real quick, and you're like, where did this come from? And it's like all the measurements in between, old you versus new you. This is something that people struggle with a lot. Why do you think that is? Why do you think people have a hard time recognizing that? Do you think it's just because they're so obsessed with the outcome?
Oh, for sure. And I was one of them too, so I can attest to this. People are so attached to the outcome that they want to see level 100 before they hit level 50. They want to skip these steps and they skip these milestones before they reach it. So a lot of us, as I can attest to, want to become that full-time profitable trader that has the financial freedom, the time freedom to travel, to do all these things. That's what they deem as success. They don't deem success as, getting a prop account, getting funded, getting payouts. They don't see those milestones as incremental milestones that they need to accomplish to get the bigger goal. They're so focused on the big goal that they don't create systems in place to end up achieving that goal. So one thing that I have tried to develop is creating systems to achieve my goals. So adopting the identity of the person that I need to become who does these habits,
Mm.
who inherently then achieve these goals. So it becomes so much more easier when you reverse engineer your goals step by step to see how you can really achieve it instead of just saying, hey, I want to become a millionaire trader. One person's going to be burnt out just by that thought alone, by thinking about this situation, what they're in. Okay, I'm $30,000 in debt. I have only 10K in funded capital. How am I going to be a millionaire trader? I see this guy, he's over here driving this Ferrari, this Porsche. He's making money off this trade. I took in this trade. I've only made $500. He's made 50K. Goddamn. So there's a lot of things that play into it. So the comparison is really the big factor on why people stay focused on the outcome instead of the process, because they can't see that they're at a level where they're slowly climbing up the ladder. They just want to get to the top of the ladder without going in between.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what you just said, which is so bang on. And I want to ask you this question as to why you think, like, we psychology is not an attractive thing in this industry. No one wants to focus on the mind because they want the ROI. But why do you think that people are afraid of facing themselves or accepting the fact that the way they are right now just may not be good for them to be profitable?
Because of change, essentially. A lot of people don't like to change and
There it is.
whatever that comes with. It's the fear of the unknown. I was once there as far as changing my habits, my bad habits. I was afraid of seeing on the other side what I might become. I was never afraid of the positive aspect of what may come from it, but I was afraid of, what would happen if I don't have these anymore. Like I want to still do these and I want to still you know, I want to still do these bad habits and be the type of person that makes money.
Mm.
But essentially, we have to change our whole outlook on life. We have to change our perspective. We have to change our habits essentially to become the type of person. So, a lot of people need to really dial in and figure out, okay, you know, I may vape, I may smoke, I may do these bad habits that hinder my focus. At the
Mm.
end of the day, a lot of these things hinder your focus and they take a hit at your discipline muscle and your delayed gratification muscle. So these things become very addictive too as well. So all of it, everything's connected to everything. So if you are constantly need a dopamine hit, you'll find that in your trading when you can't stay patient and wait for a setup. Oh, I need to trade today. I need to make money today. The urge to trade is killing people's capital.
Mm.
So the main idea of this is just people need to be okay with the unknown. You might not know what's gonna happen, but I promise you on the other side of the unknown is success.
Absolutely. And it's so far out of people's comfort zones, they don't realize how much their next level is just on the other side of that little bit of discomfort of just letting go of a bit of older you. For someone who's like, well read, I'm sure you've read a lot of books and stuff. What would you say is the difference between someone reading a whole bunch of books on like atomic habits and everything else versus rewired? Because people struggle to pinpoint it, as in that there are lots of people that I know that are sitting on the fence. They understand that trading psychology is pretty important, but their mind still tells them that they just need Mark Douglas's trading in the zone. It's like they can't make the connection as to what is the difference between me picking up this book, Atomic Habits, Think and Grow Rich, like picking up a big stack of books and going, what am I going to get here versus what I can just read in all of these books? To someone like that, what would you say has been the difference if you go into the Rewired program? Because even like unconsciously when you talk, I can tell the parts that stick out to you and what you've used and what's clearly resonated with you anyway. What would you say to someone like that? What's your thoughts on that anyway?
My thoughts on it is the difference between the books and Rewired essentially. Books are more theory based and they don't really give anything practical to follow. So Rewired, everything's in a sequential order for one. And you guys give us practical exercises to implement into our daily routine that will inherently change the way we think and how we view life, essentially, not even just the markets. So the fact that we have practical exercises and steps that we can take to better enhance our perceptive ability is way better than just trading in the zones. Oh, follow your plan. The profitable trader sticks to his rules. That's so vague. Anybody can regurgitate that info, but for you to go deep, to dive deep in, something like self-image, the beginner trader or the intermediate trader won't really resonate with how self-image can really improve their trading. They'll just say not niche things, but they'll just say vague things like, "Oh, I need to work on my psychology." But most people don't even really know what that is. They can't really dissect trading psychology because it's more than just it's more than that meets the eye, you know. It's a lot of mindset that goes into it. How do you think on a day-to-day basis? What state of flow are you in? And these things are so important when it comes to your performance and execution. So Rewired gives you so much when it comes to not even just mindset, but also the going full-time modules. How can you manage your money to, sustain profitability, to maintain your wealth, a lot of people don't teach this. They just, hey, strategy, strategy, strategy. Oh, manage your psychology, manage. It's so vague.
Yeah, I love that. You couldn't have nailed it down better than myself. And I think you're someone who's prioritized sustainability. I was going to ask you that question. Has that always been an instinct for you, or is that something that just came to you over time? Did you, from like the get-go, think I need something that's always going to be long term, or did you start to see some success and then think I really need this to be sustainable?
Yeah, so it happened over time. At first, I was kind of sucked into the get rich quick. I wanted to make money fast. That's what attracted me in the first place. But after I seen success and lost it, essentially, that's when I got to the point where I was like, okay, I seen that this can work, but I want to be able to make this consistently, and I want to be able to sustain it because I want to make this a career to where I can, essentially leave my job and then do this full time because I have a passion for it. And I know that over time, no matter what I face, I will win in the future just off of sticking to the processes, sticking to what my mentors say, And another thing, picking your mentor is probably the most important thing you can do. A lot of these people show the flashy lifestyle. They say the regurgitated buzzwords that most people think are something, intellectual to follow. But at the end of the day, these things have no inherent value in it. So whenever I looked at somebody like you, like Ibby, you guys are practicing what you guys preach. You guys are going in depth in mindset training, and not only mindset but technicals as well. You guys are proficient in your strategy, and you guys also are very humble. So these are things that I want to emulate. So that's why I had no problem in wanting to adopt what you guys teach. So a lot of people, they see, the quick and easy things like, oh, I'm 20 years old. Here's how to make a $200,000 in a day. They see that and they get sucked in, but they don't realize that these people are still blowing accounts. Like I seen on X the other day that, these people that people are essentially paying for services are still blowing their trading accounts and then just resetting it. And I'm just looking at it like I don't know how people got so comfortable with being okay losing their capital, because losing your capital in this game is essentially suicide.
Yeah.
Just imagine if you didn't have a cash buffer to buy another account or to refund your account. Just imagine what situation that could put you in, you know?
And psychologically, think about how many of those traders are demoralized for following those people going, hey, I look up to this guy. He's made it okay for me to just spend like $20,000 on assessments before I've even made any money. And then he's still encouraging me for the 58th assessment to go like, hey,
Yeah,
if you hit this one big, like all of that money that you put into the challenges, you could make it back in one payout. Tell me that's not the most gamblish statement you've ever heard. Yet in
it
trading,
is.
we've just accepted it. We've accepted it. And you have people in the industry that have gone, well, look, if I just keep hammering these assessments, statistically, I'm going to hit one of them where I can show someone like, hey, look, I've got a 25K withdrawal from FTMO. Follow me. Look at what I could do. That guy could be 70 grand in debt to get to that.
That's so true.
That's why I have no interest in attracting people in to here's some profits, look at the lot size, look at this. No interest in doing that. The fund now is hovering over 10 million. 5 years that's taken us. And we have just under the radar gone, yeah, look, you guys do your thing. Look, we don't need to shout about it. Our traders are here. Correlation, 90% of them rewired. The
And you
quick
have to imagine too, like that the fund is not open to the public, so that's such a huge milestone in itself.
Exactly. Imagine it was open. Well, to be honest, if it was open to the public, I don't think I would want to do it. Because I'm not interested in like getting people to blow loads of assessments. It's like it's for me, it's inherently wrong. Like I couldn't see someone on the back end going, oh, like say I saw in the back end like 28th assessment and he's still buying. Like
Yeah.
for me, that's wrong. Like I couldn't call it, me putting my moral hat on or whatever it is, because someone could be like, oh, that's rich because you're in education, you charge for this and that. It's
Hmm.
not about the things I put out, I know are going to change someone's life. I can't
Yes.
see someone be destructive and be okay with that and be like, yeah, that's fine. You might make the money back. Like, no, I'm not letting you on the fund. Like that is where like my principles, I'm not going to compromise that. And money is not going to change that. I don't need your money. I don't want it. If you want to be destructive elsewhere, that's your own prerogative. But you're not going to do that with me. So I value that. Like how you make money is more important than how much that you make.
Yes, I totally agree. And especially that you give them a certain limit to where they can take a couple assessments and you lock them out.
Yeah.
I feel like that is the standard if you want to build, a high-end fund to something that's going to be the best of all time. That's the steps you have to take, you know. If I want to have the best traders at my fund, we have to hold them to a high standard. So
Absolutely.
that's what I can take from that.
And Elijah, do you know what the record for people that lose assessments have not done any mindset training? You
Yes.
so when we get someone passing the fund and they go to a portfolio asset manager, the ones that have done no prior training, so they're not in rewired, they're not doing any kind of mindset work, they lose their account from portfolio asset manager. Bear in mind, they've gone through the assessment, it could have taken them 3 months, 6 months. They lose it in record time.
Yep.
Like
Probably a day, a week.
they're the quickest people to lose it. I'm like, it's so interesting how you won't do that, and it's not because they can't afford it. It's got nothing to do with money. It's just sometimes arrogance comes in as like, what's Rewired going to teach me that like I haven't already read? Like I've read Think and Grow Rich. I've read loads of books, so they see it as like there's not anything that's going to change what I already know, and it's within
Yeah.
that arrogance, even though they know that the vast majority seem to be keeping that capital for like 2 years, 3 years. They're like, no, but I'm different. So
Yes.
you reminded me earlier, everyone struggles with something. For me, I can't resonate with that part because I've always been the type of person where I listen fairly well. It's like, well, clearly, if this person has got the life that I want, they clearly have the answers. So their thinking has got them to that position. So I'm going to go off of their thinking because how they think has got them in their behavior and their traits has put them in that place. So I'm going to go with logic and go, they probably know more than what I do. Yeah,
Exactly.
I've never had that arrogance there. But just because I've not had arrogance, it doesn't mean I didn't struggle with something else. And all of what does it circle back to? Self-awareness.
Yes. And
So
teachability as
simple.
well.
Absolutely. Elijah, I want to know what the next step is for you now because this is crucial. You've gone from 50K to 300 to losing 300 to then to 800 to now 2.1 million. How do you now navigate your next steps without letting euphoria, as you mentioned, take over?
So I put in a risk plan. I just want to take it as conservative as I can. I'm not focused on really, oh, I can change, make life-changing money. That's not what I'm focused on right now. Right now, I'm just focused on, following my process to the best of my ability. That's what I want to train myself to do because I was in that stage of where I would follow my plan, this week, and then my congruency rating wouldn't be the best, So if I already know that my strategy makes money and that my plan inherently makes money, all I need to do is focus on the input. So I just want to double down on that and train myself to the best of my ability. No matter what, I will follow my training plan. So I know that after I keep that at the forefront of my mind, I'll be successful. I won't copy all of my accounts at once because the risk of ruin is too great. I won't do that. I won't self-sabotage myself to where I will put myself in that position where I have to be like, hey man, I got myself funded, but I lost it all. Just imagine the demoralization that will do to me, putting myself in this position to where I'm talking to you all, and then I just go back on my habits and just lose it all. So I'll keep myself accountable, stay with the same routine I have been, and literally just figure out ways to optimize it, manage my time better, see where I can take better trades, stay patient. I really want to focus on my patience at this point and my discipline and where I put my focus. That's really the next steps that I'm going to take. Whenever I start to make more money, I'll still be implementing the same habits, focusing on my teachability, focusing on, how I can essentially keep my flow state as high as I can without letting none of this change me, essentially, as far as like, okay, I've made this amount of money. I don't need to watch a module a day. I don't need to do this, every single day like I used to. But it's become so ingrained to my routine that I want to keep doing this no matter what level I'm at to keep myself accountable, to keep myself disciplined, essentially. Like Ibby said, the gym is like non-negotiable for him. So a rewired module is a non-negotiable for me. Studying content is a non-negotiable for me. And also just these training as far as like session logs, doing my rewired journal. Here I can show you. So just on a day-to-day basis, doing my rewired journal day by day, you know, flowing through it. It just, I need to keep doing this to keep myself accountable, to keep myself grounded. So that's really the steps I'm going to take.
I love that, Elijah. Can you now make, now it's been a period of time, can you now make the connection for how important going through the Rewired program and just mindset in general has played such a catalyst in you now trading multiple seven figures?
Oh, totally. So most people think that they can just go through it once or twice and then that'll be the end all be all. But no, it has to be something that you keep regurgitating into your subconscious brain. Because if we're trying to train our mind, which is the supercomputer that we have, it's going to take time because we have to realize that, look at how these other programs programmed us over time, years on end, propaganda, TV, video games, it developed habits into us over time. And that took a long, long periods of time to where, you know, it's hard to break that. Now, just imagine you're trying to rewire yourself and you're then trying to implement new habits. Just imagine how long that's going to take. It's not going to be a 30-day, 60-day process, a 90-day process. So if you have, whatever the case may be, if you have trauma or whatever the case may be, or even just self-image issues, these are going to take time to really unwire and then rewire new ones. So it has to be an everyday thing. It has to be an everyday thing.
You
Most
know,
people need to keep going instead of just feeling like, okay, I got to a certain point, I don't need it no more. That's when the teachability goes low. That's when the last goes low, and that's when they need it the most.
absolutely. And I can sense that in you, which is, you know what you're really good at, Elijah? I don't know if you notice it yourself, but you're really good at reaffirming. And I don't know if you do it consciously or you do it unconsciously, but you're behind closed doors because even the way that you're speaking, it's like you're speaking to me, but I feel like you're speaking to yourself as well. In the sense of like you're reaffirming to yourself, like, right, I need to keep my head in the game. Like you're almost, is that something you do like off camera? So like when you're not talking to anyone, you're by yourself. Do you go through like a reaffirming process where you're reminding yourself of what needs to get done, essentially?
Yeah, so I like to essentially do that in the mornings whenever the window of opportunity is present. So I'm very big on affirmations because most people don't know it, but we're really practicing affirmations on a daily basis. There's a lot of times where we get into that negative self-talk, and even I see it at work on a daily basis. A lot of coworkers reaffirming negativity, like, "Oh, I hate this and can't wait to leave." These are really affirmations, and they don't understand that once they are emotionally charged, that's when they get to magnify, and it becomes a magnet to where the universe will bring that to the forefront. So if you are thinking thoughts and you have emotion behind it, it's so much stronger than just affirming, I will be rich, I will be profitable. When you have that thought and emotion behind it, that's when these thoughts will start to solidify. So I try my best to negate self-talk. I mean negative self-talk. I try my best to, reaffirm positivity no matter what I'm going through. And then I ended up figuring out that I perform pretty well with adversity. So just off of practicing affirmations daily, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I mean, I feel like everybody should do it. If you're
Absolutely.
not talking to yourself in the highest of light, then you're gonna let anybody else affirm anything on you, and you're gonna take and run with that.
Absolutely. An example happened earlier. So I was at the dry cleaners, like picking some stuff up earlier, and like the lady, she's a nice lady, like quite happy, friendly, and she was writing down on the ticket as to like what the day was and things like that. And she wrote it down. She put, "Oh, it's Tuesday," and as she wrote Tuesday, she was just like, "Oh, can't believe it's Tuesday. Would have thought that's Thursday." And then she kind of went on to almost like wish the week away. Like she didn't want to be reminded that the week has just started because it's not close to the weekend where people live.
Yeah.
And I was like, as she said it, she was saying it almost like, because she's very bubbly, very happy, but she was saying something negative, not because she felt negative, but it's because it's just habit. She thought at somewhat level, I'm just a normal individual that also resonates with that way of thinking to complain.
Yeah.
Moan about the day and think about I'm also living for the weekend. Little does she know, I'm just quietly going about my business, but very successful. But she doesn't know none
Hmm.
of that, and that's fine. But it's like when I observe day-to-day people, sometimes they're not saying it because they're the ultra negative people. It's just they're stuck in these loops and these habits, and they just say certain things because they heard someone else say it, which is what you reminded me of. Like if you're not affirming and you're not strong in your own convictions, you're letting every person that you interact with fill you up with just whatever they feel, whatever they think. And then you become a walking, talking version of just everybody else. That's how we just become sheep. We don't actually
That's
think
so true. That's
discernment.
so true.
It showed me, I thought this lady's got so much potential because she's quite high energy, but doesn't even realize it, that her own thought patterns make her feel somewhat sad about nothing.
And these are unconscious impulses too. Like now I'm starting to become self-aware of when they creep up,
Mm.
like complaining. I'm trying to, you know, double down on negating a lot of my complaining. I really, really try my best to stay self-aware in the moment. Like afterward, I'd say something and I'm like, yo, you know what? There's a lot to be grateful for.
Yes.
I could be in a way worse situation. I'm still here breathing. I still have the resources to make shit happen.
Mm.
So there's nothing for me to complain about.
Absolutely. That just perspective in and of itself. One thing I'll always give advice to which it's helped me out tremendously. And I got reminded of it the other day, which is process over outcome. It's easy to tell someone, hey, just fall in love with the journey, just fall in love with the process. They're like, yeah. Like in their mind, like I just want to make money. Like
Yeah.
I know that sounds logical, but I just want to make money. Like right now, I'm struggling. I'm not making money. I don't care about this whole process bullshit. I just want to make money. And that's where their frequency is, what they're locked in on. So I just built, or it's nearly done now, my second office in my house. But it's like an old school gentleman's library. I've had it all done like bespoke. It looks like something straight out of Harry Potter. It looks phenomenal.
Oh,
It's
that's amazing.
nearly done. All that's left is the carpet, and all the finer details are there. The desk, the chair, and it's going to look so cool as the second office when it gets really cold here in the winter. I now have got like a second office that I can just work from. Adds a lot of value to the house as well. And I went in there earlier and I just looked around and I was like, huh, all that's left is the carpet, and that's it. And I was like, that's it now? It's just like almost like a flatness to the whole excitement of picking everything, designing it, when the woodwork, when the carpenter was there, when he was making it, when the first paint went on and then he stained it and the real wood came in and he made all the brackets. It was like every process of it was actually the exciting part of the creation of it being built. And then once it was
Yes.
built, it was like, huh, almost like you think the emotion is going to come at the end. You think that you're going to get this big wow moment of like, I'm a seven-figure trader now, and everything's going to go away, all my problems are going to disappear, I'm going to feel fantastic. And then you get to it, you're like, right, 2 mil, and you're like, Tuesday's just Tuesday. It's the same day, but just got to perform again.
Yes.
Nothing changes. So if you become that person who's chasing the outcome of things, your emotion is always going to be disappointed because you're going to eventually get there and realize, I thought I would feel different. And that's someone who's not valued the actual journey of becoming successful, the journey of, being someone who's now good under pressure, good with adversity, like you said, like good under pressure to be able to be challenged. You're now more excited of your value and your character over just like an extra 100K in your bank account.
Yeah, that's so true. And another thing that kind of helped me become a little bit more process focused on was the fact that I'm in construction. So I see things from literally zero and the process that we take to build things. You
Mm,
know, we know that it's not gonna come, a whole remodel is not gonna be done in a week. So over that 3 month period or 4 month period, we've seen, a lot of the things that we finish start to come to light. We don't, we're looking at the blueprints and we're trying to picture how it's going to come out. And eventually, when we start laying out running the pipes, running the wires, installing the devices, then we're like, okay, we can start to see how this is going to come together. Just those little milestones of installing new devices, putting new things up and then they doing the drywall, all
mm.
that just builds the delayed gratification of, okay, my work that I was doing the other day that felt so tedious and that felt like it was minute is going somewhere.
Absolutely. And you're someone who will know straight away, like the foundation level, like foundations. Like think about how
Hmm.
long it takes to just build the base of what something is going to stand tall on and stand strong and be robust. It's like imagine if every building there was just like, no, we're just going to whack it on, do something really quick, simple. We're going to start building these bricks and these walls. You'd be like, whoa, let's hold back a bit. We're not going to do that. We're going to take our time with this process because if we don't, what are the risks? The
That's
risk
so true.
that house is going to
Hundreds
come
of thousands of lives.
yeah, it's going to come tumbling. There's risk. There's so many other variables that are going to go into that. Is not going to be a robust structure. So anyone there, imagine like you went to get your house built, and then that someone took some people there and said, "Hey, we're going to build your house, and you're going to see the whole process." And they're like, "Okay, cool, perfect. You get to see your house built." And you start building the foundations and you do it in a couple of days, they're going to be like, oh,
Ooh.
that was a bit quick. Like, what?
Hmm.
Are you sure that's okay? He's like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like we don't need to do that. It's just, we want to do all the fancy stuff. Like, we want to get the walls up and stuff. Yeah, but what about if the base is strong or not? So you
Yeah.
would not rushed it. You wouldn't live in a house that didn't have strong foundations, yet you want to trade an account with weak foundations yourself. It blows my mind. And you're someone who I'm so impressed with that even now, there's so much humility running through you of if it didn't change you at 800K, I'm not surprised that it's not changed you now. And I won't be surprised when you return with, 2.5 and 3 and so forth. I genuinely trust you to perform because it's not a fluke. You don't get to this position with all of the little nuances that you're aware of about yourself, just like by fluke or randomly. Like this has been decision, you've really put in the work.
Yeah. It's taking some time, you know. Sometimes you can get a little bit discouraged that you don't see it in the time frame you want. But whenever you just peel the layers back and delete the timelines that you have for yourself and say, you know what, however long this takes, hey, I'll just keep cracking on with it. There's a lot of people that it took 5 years, 10 years, but look where they are now, you know? So I really just try to stay grounded in the fact that these little inputs that I do day by day are what's catapulting my success to where most people would be like, oh, he did this overnight, you know, but they don't see the late nights that I come home after work, graveyard shift, forecasting at 4 a.m., and then getting 2 hours of sleep just to hop back on for New York to trade, and then literally doing my journaling process after that, losing sleep, trying to still have some sort of routine of self-reflection, of what can I do better, studying content. Like a lot of this goes into what I have to do. I feel like nobody should have a valid excuse if you have the resources to make it happen, because if you have such a hectic schedule, there's there's some ways to work around that.
Mm.
So that's why I try to make sure I do the best that I can now before, life puts more things in place to where I don't have as much time to spare anymore. Like how you said in the burnout prevention or the fastest lap, was it? Where, you know, what if you have a baby? You
Yes.
know, now you're gonna feel like, oh, it was so much easier back then. If I just went harder back then, time would have been so much more easier for me. So that's what resonated with me the most, because I don't have the luxury of time as others would, essentially, because, my schedule. So there's a lot of sacrifices that come into play where I have to lose sleep. I have to rework around not seeing family as much or seeing people as much or not going out as much, just because I need to, tick off my daily goals. Some people just don't understand that it's for a bigger purpose. You may see me doing journaling, or you may see me on the computer, and you may think like, I just want, me to be involved in something. But at the same time, it's like I'm building something so much bigger than just, making a couple 100,000 in trading. If I want to reach generational wealth, it's going to take all of me. And I understand that it's not a life balance that's going to be in play. I understand that, it's an all or nothing game, and that never, I was always okay with that. I was always okay with it being all or nothing.
Mm.
So I have always been able to still put my best foot forward as far as trying to complete my routines, even when I don't feel like it. I may have, some days where I'm burnt out to do other things, but when it comes to, my daily habits as far as, getting chart time in, back testing, session logs, mindset training, I make sure I crack on with those as much as I can, because I know over time this will train me to be the individual that will be, what's the word I'm looking for? It will train me to have a bulletproof mindset, because that's essentially what I'm going for. That's essentially what I'm going for. I want to be able to manage a lot of capital and not really be phased by the fact that, I'm in a drawdown period. Okay, what's a drawdown period? What's that compared to the bigger vision that I have?
I love that.
It's so minute. That's what most people don't focus on. They don't have a big enough why.
That's it. That all or nothing mindset is what I love. Like you are on your way to being fully rewired. It's truly on the way. Like I can see the night and day difference of just from when we last spoke. It's hard for us as individuals to see it, but someone else can see it. Like the chances of you being able to notice every part, I wouldn't expect that because we don't see when we change. It's like You only remember who you are today. It's really
True.
difficult for you to remember 3.5 months ago and be like, yeah, I'm different from 3.5. It's almost impossible for you to be able to pinpoint what that is. But it's only someone who is truly observant who will be able to see it energetically, see it in charisma, body language. Like someone else can, I can see it in such a short phase. And the one word, focus. Elijah, you're focused. Don't lose that. That focus is what got you here, and I know it's going to take you to the next level. I'm really,
Yes.
really looking forward to seeing you tick that off. And I can tell this is actually early stages. Other people would be looking at this thinking, "What, 2 million? It's like he's made it." Like these life-changing money where you're not even bothered about that. And that is the key part, to not be phased at every level. That's why you'll make the money you want to make, because you've understood the most important thing. Do not care about the money, and you'll make the most.
Yes. Yes. I've been really working so hard on trying to detach myself from the outcomes, even whenever I'm in the bleakest of situations where I need to make, you know, more financially. But at the same time, I know, these periods are seasonal, these periods of not being in the best situation are only temporary. So I don't really let those phase me anymore because I've climbed out of it so many times. So I know it's possible. I know what I'm capable of. So I really just try to stay focused and grounded and audit who I'm listening to. So it really means a lot coming from you, especially as somebody who's watched almost all of your videos on YouTube, watched everything on Rewire Training, as watched all your Instagram stories, so I really try to take as much as I can from you guys. So it really means a lot coming from you that you guys noticed, like, even just the minute form of change that has came from me. So I really appreciate it.
I can see it. I can see it, and it would be disingenuous for me not to mention it. I love to call things out when I see it, when I see people not putting in the work, and I think it goes both ways. That you have to give people credit where credit is due, and like when you see a change, most people go through life, and no one wants to point out good things about people because they're insecure within themselves. They don't want to lift someone else up, but like I can see it, and like that is the biggest flattery for us, is that you've taken something and gone, do you know what? I'm going to be the best student I can be. And you don't trade the way that we trade, regardless if there's like similarities or overlaps. Like you have your own system, but we can all agree with it. Doesn't matter how we trade. What matters is how we think whilst we're trading, before we're trading,
Yes.
after we close the trade. Like that is all collective. Like we're all in the same sport, if you like, same leagues. But it's just about conquering ourselves and conquering our mind. And I feel like you're onto that. So please update us whenever you feel comfortable in the Rewired Discord. We'd love to see it. And honestly, so happy for you, Elijah. Thank you for taking your time to jump on with me again. I really do appreciate it.
Anytime, man. Of course. I hope we can do another part three soon. I will definitely update you guys whenever I can. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share my story and, you know, also give me more insight on how I can improve. So I always appreciate that.
Definitely. And I really meant those parts. I think if you focus on that of every single time you feel euphoria and log out of X, like next time when I see you at 3 mil, I want to hear that you're not even on X anymore. Um,
Yes, for sure.
so work to your strengths. I really trust in like you've got a good head on your shoulders.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's coming from listening to you guys mostly.
Why now? What is it about Rewired that has become a catalyst for you making money? Same thing, Mark. What I have read is good and what I've learned is good, but it's just so general, it's theory, and it's not practical. And for the very first time, I now have a practical step-by-step formula that now makes me understand why I'm the way that I am, why I'm anxious on the charts, why I'm not making money, why I repeat the same loop, why I blow my funding, why when I get a bit of funding, then I lose it and I get euphoric and I lose it again. I actually understand everything now. I understand why I'm not good under stress. I understand me for the very first time. And by doing that, they can now make informed decisions to go, I don't accept that anymore. I have a specific module in there called self-image correction that solves all of this. But to the point of, imagine now you're in that position where you know why you are you. For the first time, do you know how uplifting that is to go, I get it now. I understand why I keep fucking up. And then you get the opportunity to go, well, if I know I'm like this, I don't need to accept it. So if I've got a formula now, I can unwire it. I can unwire all of it, and then I can rewire the things that I know that are going to help me become profitable, make me calm under pressure whilst I'm trading, giving me the ability to scale up. Why do you think people that go through the program end up scaling their accounts, attributing Rewired to their success? Meanwhile, they're also very well read. It wouldn't be logical. Why would that be the catalyst? Is because it's specialized knowledge, step by step, that's going to help you build all of the building blocks of your mind, but specifically for trading. There's nothing else like it on the market, and it's a reason why so many people scale up, just like Elijah, 50K to 2.1 million. Doesn't trade how we trade, has a completely different system, but what do we all share? The one common goal that if you do not learn how to conquer this, doesn't matter how much knowledge you have, you'll just be a knowledge whore. You'll know everything about the market, but you'll know nothing about yourself, and that is going to keep you broke.